So today we're going to be once again talking about full-size Star Wars helmets. However, I'm going to take a little different angle this time. We're going to step back into the Wayback Machine and take a look at an older Black Series helmet from Hasbro to show you just how silly some of their efforts have been. And then we'll compare it to one of their newer ones to show you how they have evolved and how, when they really put their mind to it, they can do a good job. Let's get into this. All right, welcome to another episode of Paul's Collectibles. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining me as always. And today we're once again looking at full-size Star Wars helmets with a focus on the Hasbro Black Series helmets. Now in the past, you've seen that I've had some mixed opinions about what they have released. And quite frankly, a couple of those first repaints were just downright silly, contrasted by, in the same time frame, them coming out with some really good-looking helmets that actually were pretty impressive for the price point. And we're going to focus and start with the Incinerator Stormtrooper helmet from Black Series Hasbro, as I mentioned, as one of the low points in what they have created. And then we'll talk about a couple of the other ones that have come out about the same time or since then and see how they've done. And then we'll compare it to what I believe is one of the pinnacle Black Series Star Wars helmets. But without any further ado, let's get into these. Okay, now as I mentioned, the focus of today's video is this older Incinerator Stormtrooper helmet, and this is the one that we saw in the Mandalorian series. I believe that was the first season where they got burned out of the bar. And there is actually another version of this, and I have it. It was from a Novos. It's got a slightly different color red on it, and I believe that version is from a video game. But like I said, this one is the one from Andor, Star Wars Black Series. And these boxes, this is back when they were using the old four-sided boxes, because you've got the flat face on the front and then the side view, and then on the back it's got a couple of things, and then once again another side view. And it's interesting how these are packed, and if you haven't seen this before, I think you get a kick out of this. Check it out. So you open the box up, of course, and it's got this little piece of cardboard at the top here, and it's just got the little hole thing. And you know what? I think I'm about to be surprised. They've probably changed this. Let's see. It is, oh, they have, look at that. So it used to be these helmets would come in 3 pieces in that box, but now they've gone to doing it in 2 pieces and wrapping it in paper. It was funny because the last one of these I got that I turned into an Artillery Stormtrooper helmet came in 3 pieces, and it was just thrown in there loose with nothing to hold it together in the box. That's pretty cool. So let's get this out and I'll show you what I'm talking about with some of their least appropriate efforts. Okay, so when you get it out of that paper, that's what you get, the 2 pieces there. And before we put it together really fast, look, this is one of the other first disappointments. This really cheap head rig that they used to put in these things. It's adjustable here a little bit and adjustable on the back, but there's really nothing that's gonna, I don't know, be comfortable to hold it to your head, if you want me to be honest with you. And the top part has no padding whatsoever, obviously, since there's that head rig right there. But yeah, that's one of the first things that they've improved since then. And then as you can see, at least there was like a nose cup in there for you. And then that's a little mouthpiece for the voice changer, which I never mess with. Okay, and then that piece goes on right there. You give it a nice tap or a push and it'll clamp inside. I'm not gonna clamp it all the way in because I gotta take it back apart and store it. Now, this is one of the poorest examples of one of their repaints I have seen. It's based on the first Black Series Rogue One Stormtrooper helmet we got. Number one problem, see how all this is all flat. The Rogue One Stormtrooper helmet is very shiny, but I can live with that, okay. And it's got this interesting brown weathering here. But here's the part that really cracks me up. Look closely at this red. It's just like, I don't know it's like almost like a camo pattern. This is supposed to be weathering, but there's no weathering on the rest of the helmet to speak of. There's a little brown here, and then a little brown around the earpieces there, and eyepiece here, and here. But look at this absolute silliness. Like I said, it almost looks like it's supposed to be a camo pattern instead of some sort of weathering, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And it's one of the poorest examples of a helmet that they have done. Now, they also did something similar with the Hasbro Artillery Stormtrooper helmet, which, as you can see, is kind of goofy looking. Now, sometime around the same time frame as them releasing these, they also did the Shock Trooper, which is just beautiful. It's a great looking helmet, and they did the Shadow Stormtrooper, the black one, which is just black and shiny. It's just an excellent, good looking helmet. So I know they can do a good job when they want to. Now, once again, I'm doing this so that we can compare and contrast, obviously, some of their best work. But really fast, I do understand that these, depending on when and where you buy them, can be anywhere from 80 to like 110, 120 bucks. So for the money you're paying, it's still a good helmet. It's nice and sturdy. This is three-dimensional here. These feel like metal down below. This is cut in really nicely. There's no bleed over on the paint. The lenses are nice and sturdy. You can't complain about that. What I also like about these Rogue One style helmets is this is three-dimensional. This is three-dimensional. And as you come around, that's very detailed looking. They've got a lot of the faux screws and things on there. And if you keep coming, the other bad thing about these is they attempt to tell you that it'll change your voice, but it doesn't work worth a darn. And so consequently, you end up with this big slat for the speakers here and this big battery pack on the back, which is just gaudy, especially since it doesn't work very well. But these pieces back here, three-dimensional as well. I mean, for what you're paying, and it's a good sturdy helmet, and when you put it together, it doesn't shake or rattle for the most part, and it's really good. But I just got the biggest kick out of this ridiculous weathering on the front here. I mean, there's just so they threw some white paint on here and like, yes, good to go, weathered. It's just terrible. Now, I'm going to put this to the side, and we're going to compare it to what ostensibly is one of the best examples Hasbro has as far as weathering is concerned. Now, the first thing you'll notice is that this is not a variation of the Stormtrooper helmet. This is the Hasbro Captain Rex Black Series helmet compared to the Hasbro Black Series Incinerator Stormtrooper helmet. And why? Is that a fair comparison? It doesn't really matter, because as far as these Stormtrooper helmets are concerned, the Stormtrooper variants, the ones that they have attempted to weather have just been a joke. I mean, they've been terrible like this. It was this and the Artillery Stormtrooper helmet were really the only two that they tried to weather. They've been weathering some of the clone helmets like this, and then the 332nd Ahsoka's Battalion, and I think that's the only ones we got weathered from them. But I mean, look at this. So if you look right off the bat, the blue is weathered in spots where it makes sense. Like this part down here would hit. These parts up here would hit. It doesn't look like a pattern. The edges are worn. And then look, dirt and grime and rust and what looks like a blaster bolt went across there. I mean, if you compare these two helmets, one of them looks like, let's just be honest, if it was a thing, this almost looks like a real helmet. I mean, there's dirt in the crevices and creases. Here we just have like a brown mark on the side there. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to be. And if you keep coming, dirt all the way around in the places it should be. And then grime hanging down underneath here, and some more weathering and things. There's some black marks coming across here, and you know, some sponge, what I call sponge weathering right here and things like that. And overall, that's just superbly done. That is a Black Series helmet, for goodness sakes. And then you look at this and you're like, who phoned this in from home? I mean, so when you're talking about these helmets, it's also important to point out, because people always ask me, Paul, what do you think of this manufacturer? Paul, what do you think of this manufacturer? And I will tell you, every manufacturer I've dealt with has had some hits and some misses. Hasbro Black Series, these Etsy shops and things like that I go for. The new Disney helmets that are coming out. Some of their helmets are great. Some of them are like, wow, someone called in sick that day and they let the 2-day intern do it. No offense to interns, I'm just saying. So you have to measure each of these helmets on their own merit, and you also have to decide what it is you're looking to do with the helmet. This one right here, I will tell you, this is a great helmet if you're going to take it and paint something else over it, like I did with my Artillery. I made my own Artillery Stormtrooper helmet that's 10 times better than the one that Hasbro did. Whereas this one, right out of the box, you put that on display and it's like wow factor. Like, man, someone put some love and care and concern into this, and this does Captain Rex a good service. Whereas this one over here, yeah, I don't know if I would have let that out of production if I was the quality control guy, but you know, that's just me. But this became available again. I had one before, and like I said, I painted over it, and I still wanted to have one example. And I thought this was an excellent opportunity to show you how ridiculous some of these Black Series helmets can be and how awesome they can be. But there you have it, just a quick look at the re-release of the Black Series Hasbro Incinerator Stormtrooper helmet. It's good to see that they're wrapping these much better than they used to, and it's coming in 2 pieces instead of 3. This back piece used to come off, which I think is very cool. And it's still a fun helmet to have for the price point, and since I'd painted over mine, I wanted to get another one to hold on to. But yeah, there you go. And with that, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, maybe consider doing that for me. That's a great way to support my efforts here at Paul's Collectibles. And if you're already a subscriber or someone who's been watching my videos for a really long time, you already know. I greatly appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next video.